Welcome to Teaching Orchestra. In the 5th video of each episode, I usually talk about the common problems, the niche things, and the small concept ideas. But like I said in my previous videos, I live in reality, here on planet Earth. And in reality, here on planet Earth, in winter solstice, every problem is a common problem because there aren't these little niche spots or like, hey, make sure to use dynamics. And, because if they can't use dynamics, they probably shouldn't be playing winter solstice. Probably right not now anyway. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing having a backup plan for Winter Solstice by Todd Parrish. We can go to our concerts with the best of intentions, and sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. And that's okay. We've all been guilty of it, and I've done this many times. And it's not necessarily even a bad thing, because usually what happens is some of your students are getting adequately challenged, some are pushed a little beyond what they can do, and there's a percentage of your class that's just not getting it. Now, I'm not saying that we don't do everything that we can to try to teach them, and that we don't teach every student in our class. Every student in your classroom is getting taught. But in a transitionary piece like Winter Solstice, it sometimes tells you which students are ready to move on to the grade 4 and grade 5 lit, and who needs a little bit more support by playing the grade 2s and grade 3s. If you've got enough students in your program, you can probably diversify your students into groups by ability, and this will give you some practical data for where to put your students for next year. But it doesn't solve your current problem, right? You've got students who are going into the concert and you know that they're not going to be able to play everything, and it's like a week out from the concert, maybe a few days out for the concert. Not a month, not several weeks. If it's a month or several weeks, you still have time. Don't give up. Just keep trying to teach them. And this is going to be your backup plan, not your plan A. So what we can do, and if you look at the bass part, and the basses don't exactly double the cellos during the 8th notes, but they play the first 2 notes and then rest, play the next 2 notes and rest. And it's, this one's down the octave instead of up the octave, but not sure why they did that, but that's what they do. And it does provide some orchestrational texture, but it also means they have to learn half the notes. So, for instance, if your viola is here at the beginning, when they have this rhythmic motif here, and this is quick, right? It's half note equals 78. You can just have them play the first 2 notes and give them that texture. That's fine. That's acceptable. But for some, it may not be enough. And it might actually be more confusing to say just play the first 2 notes. So what you can do is just have them play the first 8th note on beats 1 and 3. So they can play this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And if that's too confusing, they can just play one of them. Now, some of the measures they might get learned, and they can play the whole thing, but if they don't learn one of these patterns, they could just play the first note or a couple of the notes, and that's fine. If you zoom out and look at the full orchestration of this piece, what you'll find is that we've got accented notes on 1 and 3 anyway, and this part I think illustrates it really well. We've got it in the first violin, and then in the second violin, first violin, and there's kind of like some hocket here, the way it works, and this pretty much goes throughout the piece. And so if you just have your violas kind of support that hocket with 1 and 3, or whatever, your cellists, even the first violins, whoever is having trouble, those few students that are struggling, it's going to fit well within the texture. Now, it sounds cool when everybody's playing the texture, but it's kind of like the drummer in your band. You miss her when she's gone, but you also don't want her to cover everybody else up, right? And that's kind of where you want the level of your drums to be. You don't want it overpowering, but if they're not there at all, you're sad. So the kids that are providing the texture, you might want to give them a different role, probably part of the glue. And the glue isn't going to be in your orchestration book from undergrad, so don't go look it up. When I'm talking about the glue, I'm talking about the 2 components, the melody and the pad. The pad are the sustain notes that provide the harmonic structure. And you know what the melody is, so I don't have to explain the melody to you. But for most of this, the melody isn't a traditional la-la melody. It's kind of like hocketing around, like I explained before. So that's not realistic to give them a part like that. So what you could do is just have them play pad. So look at what the second violins do right here. They're just playing like G's and then B's or whatever. So if you've got your first violins, you can just have them join the pad and just sustain the notes. And you can just have them above their parts, just write the note that they're supposed to play instead of the running 8th notes. It might take you a little while to figure out what the harmony is, and you can kind of figure out your pad. But look, I mean, everybody's playing an E here, right? So E is going to be the pad. And then right here, you know, these guys are playing A. So A can be your pad, you know, and you can just figure out the pad pretty simply. So as you're trying to rework the parts for those students and they got this thing and they're just not getting it, and you don't want them to sit out, you want to give them something to do. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking, and it might take you a little time to figure out where in the orchestration is and what you're going to need, what you've got too much of, and what you need support with. And some teachers argue with me, and they tell me that this is cheating. Okay, it's cheating. It's cheating to make your students sound successful. It's cheating to make your orchestra sound its best. It's just better to sound like trash because of your idealistic standard. Okay, that's fine. You know, you do you. You don't judge me, and I won't judge you, you know, unless I hired you to be my judge at my contest or vice versa. And then, you know, we're going to judge each other. But I've got pretty good ears, and I hear a lot of groups, and I can only listen super critically for so long, to be honest. And most of the time, I'm listening for the big picture stuff when I'm judging, and I'm not going to catch these little things. But if I do happen to notice, which I might, but I probably won't, I'm not even going to send you a winky face emoji to dog whistle to you that I know what you did and I know you used a backup plan, because you're the teacher for that group. You make the choices for your group, not me, and I think it's pretty unprofessional to assume otherwise. And it's the same thing when it comes to that kid who messes up and wears white socks. Is it better to have him sit out for the concert or play? You know, that's not the judge's call. It's 100% the teacher's call, and I stay out of it. That's just something that I feel very strongly about, and I try to involve myself in those areas as little as possible and try to make it about the students and not about the backup plans. Now, when I use a backup plan, I don't feel guilty about it one bit, and I'm not going to let anybody else make me feel guilty about it. I'm going to do my best to teach them right up until the concert and then give them a backup plan if my plan A doesn't work. If my students need something different to be successful, I'm going to give it to them. One day, they're going to get it. But 2 days out, 3 days out, they're not going to get it, and I'm not going to shame them, and I'm not going to put them on the spot and say, you can't do it. I'm not going to kick them out, because I want students to be in my orchestra. I want as many students as I can to be in my orchestra, and shaming them is not going to help with that. I think of it like those gym bros who make fun of the skinny noob for only lifting the bar, and they forget that everybody's got to start somewhere. And at least he's in the gym lifting, right? Which is better than like 99% of people, and you shame him and he doesn't ever come back, and that's not good. Music is for everyone, and it's my job to find them a home in my program. All right? Okay, I'm done. If you ever give a student a backup plan or any sort of grace in a concert, I want to hear about it. Leave a comment in the comment section below and share this video with somebody if you know that they're doing winter solstice and you think these videos could help them. And if you think I did a good job, consider hitting that like button or maybe becoming a subscriber. Until next time, I hope to see you in my next video.